While most people avoid thinking about death, Amish men spend years crafting their own coffins with their own hands. This isn't morbid, it's one of their most meaningful traditions that reveals profound wisdom about life, death, and preparation. Death preparation. Most people hire funeral directors when someone dies, scrambling to make expensive decisions during the worst possible time. The Amish take a completely different approach that might shock outsiders, but makes perfect sense when you understand their values. Building your own coffin ensures quality craftsmanship while saving family money during grief. More importantly, the process creates time for spiritual reflection on mortality and acceptance of life's natural cycle. This isn't about being morbid or obsessed with death. It's about responsible preparation that strengthens faith and reduces family burdens. Building timing. The question isn't whether an Amish man will build his coffin, but when he'll start the meaningful work that connects him to generations of tradition. Most begin in their 50 seconds or 60 seconds when they have more time and wisdom to approach such profound work thoughtfully. Some start earlier if health issues arise, while others wait until they feel spiritually ready for such serious contemplation. The timing varies by individual but always involves family discussions and community understanding. There's no rush or deadline pressure. The work happens when the man feels called to begin this important spiritual and practical preparation for his family's future needs. Wood selection. Walk into any modern funeral home and you'll see expensive hardwood caskets that cost more than most people's cars. Amish coffin builders take a dramatically different approach to materials that reflects their values about death and simplicity. Simple pine or oak lumber sourced locally provides everything needed for dignified burial without expensive hardwoods that would show pride or waste resources. The wood comes from trees that grew in local forests, connecting the builder to God's creation while avoiding artificial materials that conflict with returning to earth naturally. Traditional requirements call for plain wood without decorative elements and natural finishes that weather appropriately. The goal is construction that reflects humility and simplicity while serving its practical purpose with dignity and respect for the deceased and grieving family members. Construction process. Building a coffin requires the same skills Amish men use for furniture making and barn construction, but the emotional weight makes this project unlike any other woodworking they'll ever undertake. Hand tools and traditional joinery techniques passed down through generations create strong, simple boxes built to last during burial preparation and transport. The construction methods emphasize solid joints, proper fit, and reliable assembly without decorative elements that would display pride or unnecessary expense. Sons and grandsons often help with the work, learning both practical skills and spiritual lessons about mortality and family responsibility. This becomes a teaching opportunity about traditional craftsmanship while discussing life's deeper meanings and spiritual preparation. Neighbors may assist with difficult aspects while respecting the personal nature of the project. The community understands this work's spiritual significance and provides support without interfering with the builder's personal journey through mortality contemplation. Simple design. Forget everything you've seen about elaborate caskets with silk lining and gold handles. Amish coffins follow design principles that prioritize spiritual values over worldly appearance and focus on dignity through simplicity rather than expensive display. Rectangular boxes with simple lids avoid decorative elements that would show pride or create unnecessary expense during times when families need resources for living members. The construction standards emphasize solid joints and durable assembly methods that ensure dignity during final services while maintaining simplicity. Plain construction represents equality in death and humility before God. Rich and poor receive identical simple wooden boxes because spiritual legacy matters more than material display. This approach removes competition between families about burial expenses and maintains focus on spiritual rather than material values. The design philosophy extends to every detail. No metal hardware beyond basic hinges and simple latches, no interior padding or lining that would add cost without spiritual benefit. just honest wood construction that serves its purpose with dignity while reflecting religious values about death and eternal life. Coffin storage. Once completed, the coffin doesn't get hidden away in some forgotten corner. Instead, it becomes a visible family reminder that transforms how everyone thinks about mortality and spiritual preparation throughout their daily lives. Storage typically happens in barns, attics, or dedicated spaces where the coffin remains dry and accessible when needed. The visible presence creates opportunities for family discussions about death, spiritual preparation, and practical arrangements that help everyone prepare mentally and emotionally for eventual loss. Children grow up seeing their father's or grandfather's coffin as a normal part of life rather than something fearful or mysterious. This exposure helps develop healthy attitudes about mortality through family examples that emphasize spiritual preparation over fear or denial. The stored coffin serves as a teaching tool during family conversations about faith, responsibility, and the temporary nature of earthly life. Parents use these moments to discuss spiritual beliefs, family values, and the importance of preparing for eternal life through religious commitment and community involvement. Visitors to Amish homes sometimes notice the stored coffins and ask questions that create opportunities for sharing faith and explaining traditional values about death preparation and spiritual readiness. Economic benefits. Funeral costs can easily reach thousands of dollars, creating financial stress for grieving families who must make expensive decisions while dealing with emotional trauma. Amish coffin building eliminates this burden through practical preparation that demonstrates wisdom and family responsibility. Building your own coffin saves hundreds or thousands of dollars that would otherwise go to funeral directors and casket manufacturers. This cost savings allows families to focus financial resources on living needs like education, medical care, and community support rather than expensive funeral products that serve temporary purposes. The economic wisdom extends beyond individual families to entire communities. When multiple families build their own coffins, the overall community expenses during grief periods decrease significantly while maintaining dignity and religious values about simplicity and resource stewardship. Money saved on burial costs can support widows, fund community projects, or help families facing medical emergencies. This practical approach to death preparation demonstrates responsibility to both family and community by ensuring resources remain available for productive uses that benefit living people. The economic benefits also include avoiding pressure from funeral industry salespeople who might encourage expensive purchases during emotionally vulnerable times when clear thinking about necessary versus unnecessary expenses becomes challenging for grieving family members. Spiritual reflection. The slow, methodical work of building a coffin creates regular opportunities for prayer, meditation, and deep spiritual reflection that many men describe as among the most meaningful experiences of their lives. Working with wood destined for burial encourages examination of life priorities, relationships, and spiritual condition, while there's still time for changes, forgiveness, and growth. Many builders report that confronting mortality directly through coffin construction deepens their religious commitment and trust in God's plan for life and death. The building process becomes a form of meditation on eternal versus temporal values. Each cut, joint, and assembly step provides time for considering what truly matters in life and what legacy the builder wants to leave for family and community members who will remember him after death. Fathers and grandfathers who build coffins model healthy attitudes about death and spiritual preparation for younger generations. They demonstrate through example how to face mortality with faith rather than fear, creating teaching opportunities about religious beliefs and community values. The spiritual benefits often extend beyond the builder to his entire family. Watching a loved one prepare peacefully for death while maintaining faith and continuing productive life demonstrates powerful lessons about spiritual strength and religious commitment that influence family members for generations. Many describe completing their coffin as bringing unexpected peace and spiritual satisfaction. Quality standards. Amish craftsmen apply the same high construction standards to coffin building as any other woodworking project, ensuring the final product reflects their reputation for quality work and attention to detail that characterizes all traditional craftsmanship. Careful selection of properly seasoned lumber prevents warping, cracking, or structural failure during burial preparation and transport. The wood must be dry enough to remain stable, but not so dried that it becomes brittle or prone to splitting under normal handling stress. Joint construction receives particular attention because the coffin must maintain structural integrity during lifting, transport, and burial procedures. Mortise and tenon joints, dovetails, and other traditional connections create strength that outlasts the burial purpose, while demonstrating skilled craftsmanship that reflects positively on family reputation. Hardware selection focuses on simple, reliable metal components that won't fail during use. Basic hinges and latches receive the same careful installation and testing as furniture hardware, ensuring proper operation when needed most during funeral services and burial preparations. Finishing work emphasizes natural wood appearance rather than elaborate decoration. Simple oil or wax finishes protect the wood while maintaining the plain appearance that religious values require for burial purposes and community standards about appropriate death preparation. The quality standards ensure the coffin meets both practical requirements and spiritual values, while demonstrating the builder's skills and commitment to excellence in this final woodworking project that represents his craftsmanship. Legacy, community support. Building a coffin becomes a community event in subtle ways that demonstrate how Amish neighbors support each other during significant life preparations while respecting the personal spiritual nature of mortality, contemplation, and death. Readiness. Experienced craftsmen share knowledge about proper construction methods, wood selection, and traditional techniques that ensure coffins meet community standards for dignity and simplicity during burial services. This wisdom transfer helps preserve traditional practices while ensuring each coffin reflects appropriate quality and spiritual values. Tool sharing and technical assistance happen naturally as neighbors offer help with difficult construction aspects without imposing on the builder's personal spiritual journey. Community members understand which aspects of the work require privacy and reflection versus when practical assistance would be welcomed and appropriate. The community provides emotional support by treating coffin building as normal spiritual preparation rather than morbid preoccupation. This acceptance helps builders focus on spiritual benefits rather than feeling isolated or unusual for undertaking such meaningful but emotionally challenging work. Younger community members learn by observing the coffin building process and the respectful way neighbors support such important personal preparation. These observations teach cultural values about mortality, spiritual preparation, and community responsibility for supporting members during significant life transitions. The shared understanding about coffin building creates a supportive environment where men can discuss their work openly without embarrassment or fear of judgment. Community acceptance normalizes death preparation and encourages healthy attitudes about mortality that benefit entire families and strengthen cultural traditions about spiritual readiness. Modern challenges. Contemporary burial laws and funeral industry regulations sometimes conflict with traditional Amish coffin building practices, creating challenges that require adaptation while maintaining core spiritual values and community traditions about death, preparation, and burial simplicity. Legal requirements may mandate specific materials, construction methods, or official inspections that didn't exist when traditional practices developed within isolated religious communities. Some jurisdictions require treated lumber, specific joint types, or construction certifications that complicate simple wooden box building. Health regulations occasionally mandate certain treatments, sealing methods, or construction standards that conflict with traditional approaches using natural materials and simple techniques. Modern codes may require metal reinforcement, chemical treatments, or structural modifications that add complexity and expense. Cemetery rules often require concrete vaults, specific coffin dimensions, or particular materials that complicate traditional burial practices and add expenses that simple wooden coffins were designed to avoid. Some facilities mandate steel reinforcement or specific size requirements that traditional designs don't accommodate. Transportation needs for modern funeral services may require specific coffin dimensions, weight limits, or construction features that traditional designs weren't created to meet. Funeral home equipment and hearse requirements sometimes dictate modifications to traditional construction methods. Despite these challenges, most Amish communities find ways to adapt their practices while maintaining essential spiritual elements. Solutions might include minor construction modifications, working with understanding funeral directors, or finding cemeteries that accommodate traditional burial preferences. The key is preserving the spiritual significance and family benefits of coffin building while meeting necessary legal requirements that protect public health and safety within contemporary regulatory frameworks